Galaxy A57 has just been released and it is Samsung's latest mid-range phone. You may find yourself deciding between that phone and the S25 FE, a device costing almost the same in many markets. Today I'm going to compare the two. The first thing I noticed when picking up the A57 is the weight. It is noticeably lighter than the S25 FE and also lighter than the A56. It weighs only 179 grams, while the S25 FE weighs 190 grams. The A57 is also a bit thinner. This year, finally, the A57 is also IP68 dust and water resistant, like the Galaxy S25 FE and other Galaxy flagship phones. They both have a glass back and a triple camera setup. The third camera on the A57 is a macro one, while on the S25 FE, it is a telephoto camera. They are both 6.7 inches, have the same peak brightness, and use a 1080 by 2340 resolution with Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. The fingerprint scanner is under display, but unfortunately neither is ultrasonic. Honestly, sometimes I had issues unblocking both of them on the first try. For the main camera, the sensor size of both phones is almost the same. They are both 50 megapixel with a f1.8 aperture. But interestingly, I find the color science quite different between the two. The Galaxy S25 FE is warmer and more vibrant, while the A57 has a colder tone with a more magenta in the white balance. Also, the better processor on the S25 FE makes it a better choice for portrait photo processing, as you can see in this shot. But overall, in normal daylight photos, you won't notice much of a difference except for color choices. The S25 FE has a warmer tone, while the A57 is colder. I would not say either of them is necessarily sharper or brings more detail, even in low light. Even for video in 4K, the results are quite close between the two phones. The S25 FE has a third telephoto camera that the A57 lacks. That means if you zoom in more than 3 times on the S25 FE, you get better results. Here at 3 times zoom, you can see the images on the S25 FE is sharper, while the A57 photo is a bit soft. When you zoom in even further, like 5 times as I did here, the S25 FE clearly has an edge over the A57. That is also true for zoom videos, where the combination of a better chipset for video processing and having a telephoto lens makes the S25 FE a better phone for videography. For selfies, neither phone has a great selfie camera, and the photos look rather soft. The S25 FE produces a more HDR-like photo though, especially if you look at the sky. The A57 can take macro shots with a third camera, an option missing on the S25 FE. I personally rarely take macro shots, but maybe it is something you are interested in. Another aspect where the S25 FE is better is the chipset. They are both using Exynos, but the S25 FE is powered by Exynos 2400, which is a flagship chipset, whereas the A57 is using Exynos 1680. In Geekbench single core, the A57 gets 1375, while the S25 FE gets 2121, which is significantly better. In multi-core, the A57 gets 4444, while the S25 FE gets 6902. Again, a noticeable difference. The better performance on the S25 FE comes with a cost though, since there are more cores with higher clock speeds. It also drains the battery more. Moreover, the S25 FE has a slightly lower battery capacity at 4900 mAh compared to 5000 mAh on A57. I did a day in the life battery test with a 5G SIM card on both phones, including 5 hours of screen time with videography, photography, YouTube, and Google Meet. By the end of it, the A57 had 66% battery left, while the S25 FE had 52% remaining. Another thing I noticed is that the A57 often runs cooler. In my Google Meet test, the A57 stayed below 30 degrees Celsius, while the S25 FE touched 40 degrees Celsius after an hour. You may be surprised, but almost all flagship level chipsets tend to get hot during intense tasks, whereas mid-range ones usually avoid this issue. For charging, both support up to 45 watts wired charging. The S25 FE does offer wireless charging, while the A57 does not have this option. Software-wise, they are both running OneUI. The A57 is already running OneUI 8.5, while the S25 FE is running OneUI 8, but we expect the update soon. You get almost everything on the A57 that you get on the S25 FE, except for some features here and there. For example, in the camera app, the S25 FE has more advanced options that the A57 lacks. For AI features too, I found the A57 missing a few things. For example, they both have AI Select, but the A57 does not have writing assist tools, something I personally use quite often. So overall, which one would I recommend? The S25 FE is a very smooth phone. You won't encounter lag or performance issues unless you really push it, like playing heavy games or running multiple demanding apps. The telephoto camera is also a nice addition, and it offers wireless charging if that matters to you. The downside is that the battery life is not great, and it heats up more than A57. The A57 is lighter, has better battery life, and better thermals, but that comes at a cost of lower performance, which is sometimes noticeable even in daily tasks. If you are okay with that, the A57 does not really have any major downsides. You can also spend a little bit more money and go for something like the Galaxy S26 or the base iPhone 17. If you want to see how those phones compare to each other, you can watch this video next. Thanks for tuning into Techmo, and I will see you in the next one.